Howdy, this is Mr. Potter, and welcome to day 12 of our logic curriculum. Today we're going to be talking about two-column proofs under the guise of denying the antecedent. You may recall that denying the antecedent was one of our logically equivalent statements that we talked about back on page 11 of our textbook. It allowed us to change a conditional statement into a disjunction with the idea that the antecedent ended up being negated. So we ended up with negation P, disjunction Q. But I certainly could think if I started off with a conditional that had a negation P, conditional Q, and I wanted to rewrite that using denying the antecedent. The negation of negation P should give me a regular P by the double negation property, and my consequent never changes, so Q stays the same. And so the idea here is whenever I see P disjunction Q, I can always rewrite it as negation P conditional Q. In other words, whenever I have a disjunction, I can always rewrite it as a conditional by denying the antecedent. And so this gives me another tool when I'm dealing with two-column proofs. Previously, we could only deal with two-column proofs that either had a statement or a conditional. But now if I have a two-column proof argument that has an or in it, I can now approach it by converting that disjunction to a conditional using that denying the antecedent property. And so let's go through an example of that. I've got this example here. The space shuttle landed in Florida, or it landed in California. If the space shuttle landed in California, then the alternate landing schedule was used. But the alternate landing schedule was not used. Therefore, the space shuttle landed in Florida. So we're going to start this the way we normally start our arguments, by listing our premises and conclusions. Our first premise is the space shuttle landed in Florida, or it landed in California. So I'm going to let F represent it landed in Florida. I'm going to let C represent the space shuttle landed in California. For my second sentence, I see the conditional. If the space shuttle landed in California, then the alternate landing schedule was used. So because I have a conditional, my antecedent is California, and the consequent is that we have an alternate landing schedule that's used. We'll call that A. My third sentence says that the alternate landing schedule was not used. That means that we're taking the negation of A. Therefore, this is our conclusion. The space shuttle landed in Florida, which was our very first statement, F. So these are our premises and our conclusion that we're going to be using to prove this argument. So I've got F disjunction C, I've got C conditional A, I've got negation A, and a conclusion of F. And we always start our two-column proofs in the same manner. We start by listing our statements and reasons, and our first statements are premises. I've got F disjunction C. I've got C conditional A. And I've got negation A. And these are all premises. So now what I want to do is I want to take care of this disjunction. Remember that I can't deal with disjunctions because modus ponens, modus tollens, and hypothetical syllogism all require a conditional. I really want this statement to become a conditional. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as a conditional. And the way I do that is by denying the antecedent. So this is denying the antecedent. On step 1. And now I've got conditionals that I can use. I can put two statements together using a conjunction. I'm going to choose to put statements 2 and 3 together. So the conjunction of statements 2 and 3. So I'm going to have C conditional A and negation A. And this is the modus tollens argument because this is the opposite of my consequent. So I should end up with the negation of my antecedent. And my justification is the modus tollens argument. Now at this point I've used up statements 1, 2, 3, and 5. But I have not reached my conclusion F yet. So I need to continue. I need to put two statements together. And the only statements I have left are statements 4 and 6. And we notice that for modus ponens, modus tollens, and hypothetical syllogism, some conditionals usually go first. So I'm going to put the negation F conditional C with negation C. So that's going to be the conjunction of 4 and 6. And this is also a modus tollens argument. This is the negation of my consequent. So I want the negation of my antecedent, which by double negation is just F. So this is modus tollens. On step 7. And because I have reached my conclusion, this is valid. So what I've done here is the first thing that I did is I took care of this disjunction by rewriting this as a conditional, where the antecedent had been changed to the negation. And that allowed me to then use it in a later step of my proof. The other thing that I want to talk about in this lesson is the fact that there is not one correct way to do a two-column proof. So I'm going to do the exact same proof. I'm just going to do it slightly different. So again, the exact same proof, I'm going to do the same first 4 statements and reasons. So I'm going to list F disjunction C, C conditional A, and negation A. And these are all premises. And I'm going to change statement 1 using denying the antecedent to negation F conditional C. But what I'm going to now is I'm going to put these two conditionals together. And I need to put statement 4 first, because when I put two conditionals together, the middle 2 statements have to match exactly. So this is the conjunction of 4 and 2. And this is a hypothetical syllogism. So by hypothetical syllogism, On step 5, this becomes negation F, conditional A. Now, I've completed one round. This is still not my conclusion, but I notice I've used up steps 1, 2, 4, and 5 so far. So the only steps I have left to put together are statements 6 and 3. And 6 is going to come first because conditionals always come first when we're doing these conjunctions. So I'm going to put negation F, conditional A, and negation A. And this is the conjunction of 6 and 3. And this is a modus-tollens relationship. This is the opposite of my consequent. So I should end up with a negation of my antecedent, which by double negation is just F. So that's modus-tollens. On step 7. And that is my conclusion. So we are valid. Now I'm going to do this one more time because, as I mentioned, there's not one correct way. There actually is a third way that I could have approached this. I'm going to start off the same way I did before, listing my premises and changing that first statement to a conditional by using denying the antecedent. And of course, the reasons are exactly the same as we've just talked about. So I'm not going to bother rewriting those. I'm going to put statements 4 and 2 together just like we did before. Negation F, conditional C, and C, conditional A. So that's the conjunction of 4 and 2. And we noticed that was hypothetical syllogism. And that gives us negation F, conditional A. But one of the things that I can do is I can take the contrapositive of this. I do have a conditional, and I certainly can exchange and negate the antecedent and consequent. So I get negation A, conditional F by taking the contrapositive of statement 6. And the reason that I would do that is because now when I combine this line with statement 3, negation A, conditional F, conjunction, negation A. This is the conjunction of statement 7 and 3. This is no longer a modus tollens relationship. This matches my antecedent. And so I'm going to have to write my consequent, which is just F, by using modus ponens. And this still allows me to reach my conclusion. I'm still valid. So if students are comparing their work with other students, and they notice that they get the same conclusion, but they don't follow the same steps, that's perfectly reasonable. There is no right way to do a two-column proof. There's not one correct way. The things that we've talked about in today's lesson is this idea that whenever I have a disjunction, I want to change that to a conditional by denying the antecedent. That really is the main idea behind today's lesson. But in reality, any of those statements that we learned on page 11, any of those logically equivalent statements are perfectly acceptable to use. And of course, because they're true at the exact same time, they have identical truth outcomes. If any of these statements are true, then using page 11 to give me something that's logically equivalent will give me something that is equally true. In our next lesson, we're going to be talking more about these two-column proofs. We've talked about how to deal with conditionals. We've talked about how to deal with disjunctions. So the last thing we need to do is talk about how to deal with conjunctions. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm Mr. Potter. Have a nice day.